It is 8:35. Today is March 21st. Is that correct?
20th.
Today is March 20th. Yesterday was my father's birthday. We need to send him a video before the end of class. It's crazy, man. It's like everyone's birthday. All right, John, you may be. And our topic is that euthanasia should be legalized. Prime Minister John, you may begin in 3, 2, 1, go.
To our honorable judge and fellow debaters, today we have gathered in this very place to prove the following proposition. This House would legalize euthanasia. This House would prove this proposition by first, I, the Prime Minister, proving the economic benefits of euthanasia. And standing next to me is the Deputy Prime Minister, who will be proving the relationship between human rights and euthanasia. And the final blow will be dealt by our wit with proving the effects of saving more lives by euthanasia. But before we begin, this House would justify euthanasia as freedom of mortal pain by non-painful medications and directed under patient and family's permission and with doctor's recommendation. Now I'll begin my point. There is the problem of economy that exists on the patients and their family. Having the patients in the hospital is burden on patients and their family. They are going to have debt if they can't afford having them in hospital, and it is even forced by the law. What if the patient doesn't want his or her families to suffer? There are patients who doesn't have hope of cure because either it's incurable or it is too expensive. In this case, not letting these poor patients be free from their painful mortal body will only cause both physical and mental problems to both patients and their families. Yes.
Then do you believe that economy, money, outweighs and is more important than your life?
Please stay more calm because that point will be brought by our next speaker. Continuing my point. In this case, not letting these poor patients be free from their painful mortal body will only cause both physical and mental problems to both patients and their family. There exists many patients who can be freed of pain because of the law. And this opposition is going to let these patients painfully die. To everyone in this court, why does the law exist? What is the meaning of justice? It is clearly helping people like this be free from their pain. It exists in order to help the disadvantaged have fair treatment. Your Honor, the wise decision is desperately needed to establish the true law and bring the justice to this society. Now passing the torch on to the next speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield my time.
All right. Good, I'm going to give a 30-second recess between the two, and in the meantime, John, you'll need to find a better way to deal with those POIs. If you will remain patient, our next speaker will.
Stay calm's a little more inflammatory.
But like I said, it scratched those on my back. Perfect. It happens all the time.
That's why they're there.
Good time. Prime Leader of Opposition, please rise. Guys, do be reminded that POIs are scored very heavily for giving them, because that is an enormous point of attack, especially for the listening team. And of course, your defense for them are also heavily graded. So, government, please feel free to offer them unrestricted. And Sarah, do your best to try to present some of them. All right, let's begin. In 3, 2, 1, go.
You're back from your home and your grandmother's gone. You asked for your grandmother's to your mom, and she says that she went away because she felt bad for the family and felt like a burden. How would you feel? Would you like the idea that with the euthanasia still? To my honorable judge and fellow debaters, I am the leader of opposition, and today I would like to talk about the invasion of human rights with euthanasia should be legalized. Next to me sits the leader of opposition, who is going to talk about the decreased will toward life, and the opposition will all sum it up and make a new point that if a person is sick or old, that they can have a wrong decision. Now I will talk about the argument. I shall point out that there is an invasion of human rights with euthanasia. First, human rights. Is human rights something that should be forced by people? Is it like a remote that you can switch minds when you don't like this opinion? No, it isn't. It is something that the person can decide. It is our choice. But say you all on a setting. You're sick and old, but you don't really have a mind about dying or assistant suicide. But a person says that you should because there's the age and there's nothing to do if you're painful. In other words, they're forcing you to let him or her help you kill yourself.
For information,
Yes.
did you not listen to the Prime Minister mentioning that euthanasia should only be conducted with the agreement of the patient?
Pardon?
Did you not listen that the Prime Minister mentioned that euthanasia in this debate is defined only as when the patient agrees?
Yeah, but the argument can be still falsified. And I will now continue my point. Would you like it if a person came up and said, hey, let me help you suicide yourself because you're sick and old? This is invading the human rights and not letting you make your own decision. If I was smart, I would say that I would have my own, I would help my own human rights and I can make my own decisions. This is our own body and we can choose if we are going to euthanize ourselves. Remember, you only have one life. You wouldn't want to die because of a forceful opinion that invades your human rights. I wouldn't. Now I'll go on to my conclusion. So in conclusion, also about the point that euthanasia should be banned because it can invade the human rights because of the other's forceful opinion. Know that the rights of you rely on your decision. To my honorable judge, I yield my time.
All right. Tony, did you not hear? It's a good thought. Go with something closer to our definition clearly states. Our Prime Minister very clearly laid out in our definition that excellent POI volume. We've all got to bring our volumes up, just as a whole.
I can't speak loudly just today.
No, I'm wondering if it would be good for our defense to have our defense use a softer tone when they ask POIs. Because if you notice, that actually ate into a good 45 seconds. You asked a very legitimate POI. You didn't hear it. You had him repeat. You asked it again. That's 30 seconds right there, plus your discussion time. This happened many times in the debate. Do you think that's too slimy?
I don't think so because, I think it's a good intimidation type thing too. Like they're not doing it angrily.
Yeah.
It's like more well thought out and calculated.
What you guys will learn next term, I'm going to teach you guys what's called power negotiations, where you just talk really quiet. Because when you talk quiet, you put the other person at a disadvantage. Especially in negotiations, it's a very powerful tactic. I'm not sure if it's beneficial in a debate because I feel when you project well, you'll get presentation points and you'll appear much more confident. But on the other side, you could eat more of their time. So play with that in your own thoughts. Think about it and make your own decision. And we'll have a decision with our teams before we enter the competition. We also need to think about what to do if we can't hear their POI. Because there's times when we're on offense and the defense will ask too quietly, we can't lose our time that easily. So we'll need to come up with a way for that. Sarah, you have to speak clearly. I couldn't understand most of what you said, and no limp wrists. None of this. And I'll give more feedback later. We'll keep this going. Okay, 30 seconds.
Ignore the first one. You got the only people who are doing the POI, I think, that reject. And like the second of it, so we're supposed to take it, but if you don't know how to answer, just give a strange answer, like
Inaudibility.
like
To your
If it's somebody else.
strange answer that doesn't directly answer. So say something else.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with something to do for that.
I'm thinking like that way though.
Yes.
Still the same.
Last time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, PY.
Okay, next one, Teresa. All right, quiet in the court. And Deputy Prime Minister, you may begin your arguments in 3, 2, 1.
To my honorable judge and my fellow debaters, I am the Deputy Prime Minister of the government, and I will talk about individual rights. And before starting my argument, this government justified euthanasia as directed under patient's permission. Thus, the opposition's point that euthanasia is forced fails. Now I shall continue. Now I shall start. First, patients would have to stand all the pains. Many chronic diseases give serious pains because of surgeries and the pain that the disease gives. And not only physically, it also gives mental pain of watching family leading a hard life because of them, because they have to take care of the patients, and they will be really sad to see them really sick. And second, it's also hard for the families. For example, for Alzheimer's disease or dementia and other chronic diseases, it is very hard for families to take care after them. They would have to help them with every basic things they have to do in their life. Also, they would have to pay for it even though they don't have enough money, which will be really a hard thing for their children. And third, there's no meaning of living and being alive for them if they're really seriously sick. According to Korean law, all citizens shall be entitled to a life worthy of human beings. However, lying on a bed and doing nothing and standing pain and watching family crying because of them is not a life worthy of human beings. It would be better, they would really want to die because they wouldn't want to make all the family members sad and lead a hard life because of them. For these reasons, I think individual human rights should be respected and patients should be able to choose his or her death. Mr. Speaker, I have my time.
All right. Defense, you all lost points for not offering any POIs. You need to make sure that you guys are offering at very, very minimum, having one accepted each time. Okay, make sure that you're pushing those out. Teresa, just 2 quick points. Don't base everything on emotional appeals. Almost everything you said was emotionally driven. And defense, Joseph, Susan, and Sarah. Everything, all of her her evidence, as it were, was based on emotional appeals. What you need to do in that sense is call them out respectfully and say something like, "We appreciate your sensibility. However, we would ask that the government please refrain from trying to appeal us emotionally and rather sway us with logic and hard facts, if it were not a logic-only debate." Great presentation, good volume, too much feedback. 30 seconds, go.
Also, you can ask them, if unworthy human life of human beings really hard to ask them if a life person is talks and thinks should not be considered as worthy. So, and they also of anyone alive, the life of anyone of a life is worthy. Also, we can also
Oh, all right, let's prepare ourselves. Deputy Leader of Opposition, please rise. And you may begin in 3, 2, 1, begin.
To my honorable judge and fellow debaters, I am the deputy leader of opposition. Before I start my argument, I would like to rebut the deputy leader of government's grateful struggles. They said the life of the patient isn't worth human beings. However, isn't talking, laughing, and eating isn't worth the human beings' lives. Now I should start my argument.
I should talk about how the legalization of euthanasia will decrease the will toward life. First, what is suicide? Well, it is obvious. It is trying to kill themselves. And what causes it? There can be many diverse reasons, from stress from peers, financial problems, or breaking up with a loved one. People who experience this experience fear, experience hate, experience loneliness. And when this feeling becomes too great, they might think of the reasons worth living and the reasons worth not living. Some of them might decide better, trying to get up, trying to live a new life. But some people don't think so. They're tired, not just of living, but of existing, tired of being themselves. Some of them might have a good reason, but if that someone has a stupid reason to die. For example, there has been a suicide lately of a young woman who went to a TV program which chooses their partners. However, she didn't get picked by any of the men. She suicided a few days later. Do you think that not picked by someone is a good reason to dump their lives? You are lucky.
Information.
No. You are lucky because you don't fear violence every day. You have water, food, house, and can read. But most importantly, you are lucky to be alive. If we allow euthanasia to be legalized, anyone could lose their will to live. Mr. Speaker, I yield my time.
All right. John, out of curiosity, can you tell me what that POI was going to ask?
I was going to state about the justification that the euthanasia has to be directed under also doctor's recommendation, and thus it's not only due to patients' sore desire.
Like just their loneliness? Okay. Ooh. Susan, good job rejecting that then, because that would have shut you down. That was a great POI, John. I have that in the notes under you as well. All right, 30 seconds, and two things. It is not to suicide. Suicide is not a verb.
Yeah, it's commit suicide.
To commit suicide. You cannot suicide yourself.
Suicide's not a verb.
To commit suicide. Because I know in Korean you guys just have one verb and it acts as a verb in the noun. But in English we have the verb to commit and the noun suicide. Second thing, everyone listen up. You have two options when you begin your presentation. Option 1, your volume is louder than a normal speaking volume. Option 2, your tone is slower than a normal speaking volume. But if you start at a normal speaking volume, no one's going to hear you. You need to speak louder to command attention, or you need to speak lower so that everyone stops what they're doing and understands that they need to listen to you. That's why in power negotiation, talking quiet works. See, right then. Do you guys see Jenny? She wasn't listening, and then I got quiet. Oh, he's saying something I need to hear. It works. Everyone, do not start your volume at a normal speaking volume. Start above or below. 30 seconds, go.
So can you POI away?
Yes, you can POI anyone. I think maybe the ranking system.
No, I'm gonna vote.
Yeah, that's probably what
You're really,
And I'm gonna speak slow. Yeah. POI anything if you want. POI anything if you want. POI,
This is good.
POI anything.
I think this has a lot of potential, but I don't think this time around.
This
What did you say?
was created.
I made not right now. You said you're going down.
Yeah. Well, and given the time, because
That's
it's
why
very
every
every
villain
Yeah.
that
Alright, so
presentation.
what was ranking?
I'm thinking that might be overall.
Or that's
Or to deliberate afterwards to determine the scores based on the ranking.
We can do that.
Okay, 30 seconds is up.
Alright, then I'll just.
Government whip. Yeah, however you want to write. This is fine. We may disagree, so we may want a different one. Government whip, please rise. Okay. Okay, you may begin in 3, 2, 1, go.
my honorable judge and my fellow debaters. The Prime Minister believes, and the governmental whip believes, and the government also believes that euthanasia is needed in current society because of the following reasons that will be presented. But before I start my speech, first I would like to rebut some of the points in the opposition. The leader of opposition stated that euthanasia might be forceful, but the Prime Minister has clearly pointed out that euthanasia is conducted with the consent of the patient and the doctor. The deputy leader of opposition has also forgotten that point. And also, I would like to urge the oppositional whip that euthanasia is not a sole choice of the individual, but also a choice with the doctor. And the doctor will also use current scientific measures and state-of-the-art measures to guarantee that euthanasia is lawful in such cases. Organ donations are needed more and more these days. The technology of stem cell research has been developed greatly these days and have created regenerative medicine and such. But this technology has many ethical and medical problems these days, and it has not been supported actively for the past few years. However, there is an alternative, and I would mention not a perfect solution, but still what we can call a reasonable and probable solution. The people who pass away by euthanasia can donate their organs, excluding the organs that are directly related with their disease that has appeared directly before the point of euthanasia. I'm not pointing out that we are selling our rights for organs, but I am merely mentioning that these aspects of euthanasia can be used for a good cause or used commonplace for the greater good. Also, there are rooms that cannot be. Yes?
What if someone decides to die and decides no because they want to sell the organs to give financial help for the family?
Well, then the doctor will make a wise decision considering that point. And also there are rooms that cannot be occupied because there are too many patients in some hospital. All men should die in this time. The day which we fear at the last is but the birthday of eternity. However, we can provide a death worthy of human dignity, both for the patient and the patient's family, and for the general welfare of society. For the great benefits and the paramount consideration of the patient and the whole society, along with the globe itself, this House believes that euthanasia should be legally supported. Mr. Speaker, I am my
All right. Susan, great POI. Tony, good answer. Last thing, I don't recommend starting quieter. If we're quieter than a normal speaking volume, unless you have a tempo, which I will talk about. So for the rest of the day, let's all plan to start slightly louder than a speaking volume. Now, if this is a regular speaking volume, just talk here. You don't have to get all the way up here and talk. Just talk right at a level that will grab people's attention. Okay? 30 seconds. New players.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, besides that.
Oh yeah.
What time is it?
It is, how much time left, or what time is it? Time, it's 9:01. Is that what you meant, or you meant how much time is left?
Are we going to hold another debate after this debate?
Okay, 30 seconds is up. Opposition votes, please rise. And one last note to Tony. Huge issue. From the time that you stand up to the time that you finish saying your proposition should take maybe 5 seconds if it's a long time. Took you about 22 seconds. You stood up and you said, Mr. Speaker, my fellow debaters, myself as the government whip, as well as the government, as well as this House, all hold the belief, and we all think that euthanasia should be legalized. Dang, this is a significant portion of your time. Make sure that you all speed that up. I see that happen a lot in speaking tests. Yosa, you may begin. I'm sorry, opposition whip. You may begin in 3, 2, 1.
My honorable judge and my fellow debaters, please close your eyes. Imagine morphine, poison, medicine flowing through your veins, melting in your blood. You've tried to run away from illness, but the end of the road, the way you chose, awaits the death. The total end, a cliff leading to rocky cliffs, rocky valleys, Is that what you wanted? To my honorable judge and fellow debaters again, I am the oppositional whip, the final speaker of the opposition, and this House still firmly believes and is still unconvinced that euthanasia should not be legalized. Before getting into anything worthy, I would like to rebut what the governmental whip have already stated. First, the governmental whip have stated that we can donate the organs from the dead. However, the way of euthanasia, using the medicine, the poison, will damage the organs as the poison flows through your blood, through your veins, reaching to your old organs.
Good information.
Well, thank you. And it will not be effective. Wait.
There's no heckling.
And also, they stated that they'll provide a worthy death. However, is a death given by others, the mortals, the human beings, not the nature worthy? I would like to ask the opposition very seriously. And now, on the other hand, the Prime Minister stated the people, the argument can be forced. However, the government side is missing something. People's agreement can be forced. There are numerous historical and...
Good information.
Yes.
Can the doctor's agreement also be forced?
What we place more important is a person's agreement before the doctor's. Now, there was numerous basic life and historical life agreements or decisions changed by the pressure of gun, knife, and power, and there is no exception in our life, and there is no justice. The law of as the government proposed, and a law that could be used as addition, as cause of wrong justice should not be done.
Point of information.
Please. Also, the deputy leader of the opposition stated her argument, and it is the human psychology to feel fine and with dangerous chances if it is given to you.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Can you re-mention the deputy leader of opposition's point?
She stated that a person might lose its will to life when it's kept away from you and won't be used. And as you believe, basically having them to lose the will of life will change the foremost possibility which will be possibility of decreasing the hope and the chance of recovery. Now getting to my argument. Most of seriously ill persons who would likely choose euthanasia suffers from dementia and Alzheimer as well. And this disease and all the pains that might be there affects your psychological process, preventing you from having a normal psychology work or rightful decision. Giving one, the one in danger of making a wrong choice, shouldn't be given a chance of suicidal, since it's just like just like handing a fish to a cat. As stated, with the lack of common ordinary psychology, one might lose the will of life as well. And in this case, a person might make a wrong choice, failing at weighing between the life and the money. Having a wrong idea of what is more valid, if euthanasia becomes legalized, one might choose a wrong way, taking that which will not be effective. Would you want that in your life or your family's life? And we, the opposition, does not want our citizens to face our debts due to our people's outer pressures, financial problems, loss of the will of life due to wrong policy or a failed choice chosen at a wrong time. Now, the oppositional week, as I declare the victory of the oppositional side for following reasons. First, the government side did not support us or provide us any substantial evidence or trustable evidence.
Information.
Yes.
Isn't this a logical debate?
But there should be more supporting evidence or at least details that could be acceptable. And also, we believe that the oppositional side have succeeded in putting down the government's ideas and the arguments, while the government have failed to constantly rebut our arguments. Lastly, we would like to thank the government for coming and trying desperately to take these debates as theirs, and would like to apologize for having them to waste their time. Again, I declare the oppositional victory for today, and Mr. Speaker, I yield my time.
All right. Tony, I was curious what your POIs were.
My first POI was about...
Please don't waste my time, seriously.
Be quiet. He said there's no exception of the law that man could commit suicide.
Right. But Alright, next one.
Next one, he disregarded our point about the doctor's decision also, and I was going to mention that the doctor's decision might rule out those human errors.
Right.
And
Oh.
also, his decision of wrong choice and right choice, I was going to say, can the opposition can provide that chance for right choice and
We don't have to burden of proof.
or can they actually say that a choice is right or wrong?
Okay, so before you go into that, here's the beauty of Asian parliamentary. The prime minister gets 1 minute left, 1 more minute speaking time for rebuttals to whatever they've said. So share that information with John. John, what was your POI?
I'm also suggesting that the wrong choice of patients is not only the factor, but also doctor's decision. I was going to say, if the speaker suggests that the doctors are also impacted by psychological effects.
Doctors are humans, you know.
It's what they.
Whoa, guys, okay, good. Interesting, good. I have the checks down for POIs. 30 seconds. Tony, if you want to delineate any information to John.
There was just simply too much PYs.
There were, and we'll talk about how to deal with that and how to use that figure advantage afterwards. Wait, 30 seconds. Give it to John. And in those 30 seconds, Susan and Sarah, please bring me your notes. 30 seconds, John. Catch yourself on stage. Yeah, you have 1 minute to rebut anything else.
Can you PY?
Yeah. Oh no, not in the rebuttal time. No, Susan, those ones. Left, right hand. Right hand. Just the right hand. Ladies, you will lose points for using Korean.
Sorry, I think that was from the discussion time.
Write it down.
There's the correct spelling. Ladies, you will lose points from being distracting from your team and not benefiting. Now, ladies, good job with the desk clapping. I'm sure there's a more technical name for that, but okay. Time, John, you may rise. This is your last shot. What? Rapping. Sounds weird. So he's a good rapper.
Thanks for rapping.
All right, John, you may begin. You have 1 minute speaking time. 3, 2, 1.
The Honorable Judge and fellow debaters, our opposition has clearly caused logical fallacies by failing to state the importance of doctor's recommendation and not just the choice of patients, which are all towards to the leader of opposition, the deputy leader of opposition, and also the oppositional whip, who have all forgotten about the importance of the doctor's recommendation, which we have all suggested in the first place. And also, the government clears our victory because the government has proved the proposition by giving more logical explanation and less faulty assuming and forgetful stuff like the opposition did. And yes, Mr. Speaker, I did my time.
Alright, for the time, 50 seconds, good. One thing to say, we often wrap ourselves up at the end by having more logic, more better ideas, more something, which is a great thing to do. We have to do that. If we can, it's difficult in an impromptu, but in a full, pre-prepared research debate, try to quantify that we have brought about better logic or better evidence with the 2006 study done by this person with bring about the actual information so that way we've quantified our success. Okay, good job both teams. We'll give more feedback at the end barring time. Let the judges step outside and have our discussion. Team C, prepare yourselves to move chairs. Actually, everyone prepare to move chairs.
We're not going to do the game.
No. I think you guys will.
I think we should.
Good luck coming up with the oppositional arguments.
Because we have to think of opposition now.
It's okay.
Yes.
We might not have to do that.
Tony always says that, but the way Tony thinks is never true. Oh, never mind.
That's being humble.
Okay. Is that the first one or the second one? First one. things in our library.
What was discussed?
Yeah, if you want to look at it behind the
Okay, so we don't have any preference, huh?
Yeah, fine.
Anyways,
There's an option.
you guys will have to share it.
But I think this is like 9:20.
Really? Times 5, that's much.
Times 19.
That's the same.
It's really fun.
Did you read his first books, Hans?
Yeah, I like almost read it, but I couldn't finish it.
We read Empire of Kings.
Before that, I read it in Korean, so I didn't read the whole book. I didn't read it at all. I just checked the names.
Do you know, like his new series are coming out that
I read them.
I have it all.
Yeah, but Brian Walker didn't write completely, he already preparing for the next book.
All right.
Nice pose, Andy.
Captain.
We came in, he's just.
Okay. Oh, I should have turned this off. Actually, we'll give official scores
Oh,
since we're recording.
you are filming.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so that nose pick that you had, Andy, we got it on film.
Oh,
The score went to whom?
Government.
Government. Primary reason being, aside from the slightly higher level reasoning, we had great definition, and I think the definition made you guys, was essentially your shield for the entire time. We had really good arguments on this side, but again, they were all shielded by the definition. In terms of placement, do you guys want your ranks now? We should give play-by-play ranks, huh? Okay, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. No, 6.
You're having that kind of stuff now?
I'm not going to give you the feedback. I'm just going to give you the exact ranks.
Scary.
Should we just give the top 3, or should we give all of them?
Just do as you want.
Okay, who says all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, sorry guys, we are going to give all of them. This is a debate class, and you should not be emotional. You should be logical. 6th place. Actually, we'll start from 4th place. 4th place was Susan. We will give feedback as to why we made these decisions. 5th place was Teresa. And 6th place is Sarah. 3rd place. We're not going to do 3rd place. We're going to go straight up to 1st place. 1st place was...
John?
Why does everyone assume it's John already? It could be Joseph.
Because it's John.
What's everybody assuming for?
It's John. I'm not saying
Is it going to be an H? Is it going to be an S?
It's an S.
Johnson.
We're tied for 1st place. Here's your rankings as it stands. And again, these will be swayed heavily by the next round. So we need the... what we're actually going to do is we're going to have the opposition... No. We're going to have the government slide off. And we're going to bring you... You guys are government, yes? Okay, we want this government to come in. This government, go ahead and take your rest.
Come on! Oh,
Why?
I'm tired.
While you are changing, let me actually give a little bit of feedback. Move quickly so that way we can...
Yeah.
Whew.
Oh, you're just doing it.
Quick feedback, John. Where to give you your feedback? John, you addressed the judge in the middle of your speech as your honor, which I liked. I felt that was good. And you made eye contact.
Yeah. What? Because we could do opposite.
Sarah, yeah.
I think what everyone needs to do though is that any scenario where there's more than one judge, make note of that. Everyone's like, to my honorable judge.
There was Mr.
It just,
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone just said Mr.
if there's more than one judge, my honorable judge is. Yeah.
Did you have any... Actually, let's do this. Let's time ourselves. 60 seconds maximum for feedback per person. Do you have anything to say?
I thought John was great. I really liked the definition. I felt like was almost perfect. If you had defined that the patient must be in a vegetative state, that would have been perfect. Because then they couldn't argue anything.
What's a vegetative?
It means like just brain dead.
Brain dead.
Just nothing.
Guys, please don't say the safety.
Anything else to John?
I like when you said final blow for the
Yes.
whip. And the final blow will be the whip. You organized the arguments really well. Stay calm was a little inflammatory, but we talked about that. You mentioned pain a lot, which was good. Of course, that was like his most mentioned word.
See, but they know our arguments, but we don't know their arguments.
It's alright.
It doesn't matter. They'll have the same ones, which means
And
you guys
good
need to
POIs.
improve your POIs to them. John, you are the most objective speaker this evening. Objective. Very, very good. Okay, we have 60 seconds for Sarah. Sarah, no limp wrists. You were unclear in your speaking. You need to increase your volume. You had a lot of good hypothetical situations. Imagine you're this. What if you're this? If this happens, what will you do?
Those were all really good.
They were all very good, but none of them are solidified. So try and work in some better ones. But your creativity was fantastic. Really good if this was expository. I wish this was expository because you get more points. And then suicide yourself. Commit suicide.
That was Susan.
Oh, okay, 30 seconds, you're right.
What?
For Sarah.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And, but I thought, like, with the definition, like, your argument was a little bit off. Because, like, you're talking about freedom of choice, and that's basically what they're arguing for. So, I feel like that didn't click exactly. I felt like that was the biggest issue. But yeah, I thought it's still a pretty good job.
Okay, Teresa. Great pacing. The way you start, Mr. Speaker, and my fellow debaters. Fantastic pacing and great volume. As soon as you spoke, I was like, Shh. Everyone's eyes are on Teresa. You started to lose it when you kept, and you kept touching your hair. Guys, girls, this is your biggest weakness. Guys, it's touching your ears or neck or even face. Girls, do not touch your hair while you're talking. It shows that you're unprepared. Very good forcefulness. Too many emotional appeals. Don't have enough money. They'll be so sad. They'll be so poor. None of that. And good outlines.
It's great voice. And you had a solid rebuttal. But then you immediately stumbled right after it. But that was good. And yeah, I agree with the emotional appeals. Yeah, and I like that you used the Korean Constitution.
That's good
Yeah,
if you
that's good.
if you define the law to Korea. We've learned that one the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make that a point. Every time you define a law, limit it to one place. Okay. Susan, just real quick, increase your volume. You're still too quiet. You had good writing. You had a great POI in the middle of the debate. But you need to be less cute and inquisitive. It sounds more like you're asking mom for a cookie than you're trying to crush the other team. Not a bad thing, just try to develop that.
Yeah, the POI I have was really good. The fact that they didn't define a vegetative state in their definition, that basically created your whole argument, I feel like. Because you were, saying like people have less of a will to live, and they'll be able to make this choice. If somebody's brain dead, they don't have the choice. It's the family's choice, which is something that nobody really addressed. That is the family's choice.
Yes.
So I have a question. Like
Quickly, 10
someone
seconds.
is in a vegetative state and they take of this. Is that the assisted suicide or something?
Yes. Probably. That's what we'll operate on.
Yeah. Well, that would just be pulling the plug,
And
basically.
organs will
Like what we're talking about is
organs will be
using euthanasia as an end.
Tony. Quickly, Tony, our definition clearly states, that's what you're going to start using instead of, did you not hear? You took 20 seconds to introduce yourself. Go quickly. Do not put your hands in your pockets. You said these days, something. Rule, never ever use the word these days. Oh my gosh, it is Korean students' favorite way to start papers, to start. These days, many people...
Because of the word.
Right, it's very common.
How about nowadays?
Now, don't do any of those. Please, for the love of God, do not use those. Next, reasonable and profitable and probable idea. when you mentioned using the organs. Excellent way to introduce it, and you even talked about the benefits of it, which is very bold. Good. I don't know what I wrote. Excellent conclusion. And then I love that you said, a paramount consideration should be done.
Yeah, I like that you kept ramming the consent of patient and doctor. That was big. That really saved you guys because they were really saying like, well, the patient will want it, but then you're like, well, the doctor needs to say too. So that was a good reinforcement of the definition. I like the organ donors part getting mentioned, but then that ended up a good POI for Joseph. I liked, I wrote merely mentioning when you're, it was the POI. I forgot, Joseph said like, are you doing this like for money? Somebody
Yes.
said
Yes.
financial part. Maybe that was,
Are you offering this as a way of profiting?
maybe that was Susan.
I think it was
Yeah, that was Susan. But you're like, I'm merely mentioning that it's a positive effect.
No, nobody mentioned it. I just put it in the speech.
No, it was good when you
Yeah, it
did
was good. Yeah,
oh,
yeah, good.
Last thing
Yeah, good work with POIs.
great work with POIs.
Yes, you did.
Was that the end of it?
Yeah.
Oh, Joseph, we didn't hit Joseph. Joseph, really quick, you started off with an imperative. I like that. Be more forceful about it. Everyone think about this.
I like the imagery.
Yeah. You jumped out of the gates with an appeal to fear, but then you reeled it back in with objectivity. You cannot get so offended when people POI you. John, we were laughing about you and Joseph in the back because every time someone POIs Joseph was like, no, stop it. John just like, no thank you. No thank you. It's awesome. It's just like, get out of there. Don't be so offended by it. Be a little bit more offended by it. I'm done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so what I was saying about Joseph, it was not a POI, it was a rebuttal. That was a good rebuttal when you said that euthanasia will damage the organs. I thought that was really good. Couple of grammar mistakes. You said psychologic. It's psychological.
okay.
Yeah. You also said trustable, where you should say credible.
One last point. I wanted to hear from the opposition side. Your biggest attack on their definition, being that it has to be doctor assisted, is the fact that any system with any leaders and any level of authority is corruption. And there will be doctors that will sign off for a financial bonus or for some level of swaying. So corruption would have been something to bring about in that point. But that is the end.